Night in Los Angeles was always filled with a strange mixture of calm and vague foreboding. The soft rustling of palm leaves under the starry sky, the blinking lights of distant skyscrapers, and the quiet hum of city streets created an atmosphere in which even the most incredible stories could happen. It was at this moment, when most of the city's residents had long since fallen asleep, that Elon Musk received a call that was to change his life forever. Elon was sitting in his spacious but modestly furnished office in one of the modern buildings in the business district of San Francisco. Despite all his busy schedule, his mind was always open to new ideas, and on this night he was expecting only another work call, which, as a rule, did not bring any surprises. However, at the hour when the clock on the wall struck midnight, his cell phone rang with unusual persistence. An unknown number appeared on the screen, and in the blink of an eye, Elon felt a chill run down his spine. Without hesitation, he answered, without waiting for the caller ID system to prompt him. The voice, which seemed to come through interference, was low and somewhat distorted, as if the sound itself was trying to keep it secret. "Mr. Musk, I have something important for you," the voice whispered, and these words made Elon strain all his senses. He could not understand who and why decided to contact him at such a late hour. On the one hand, he was used to unexpected turns of fate, but on the other, the feeling that this call was not random filled him with inner anxiety. Over the next few minutes, the voice continued to utter cryptic phrases, mentioning lost memories, secrets hidden for years, and assuring him that it had something that belonged to Elon, although he had never known about it. Each word sounded like a challenge to the usual order of things. Intuitively, Elon felt that there was more to this story than just a random phone call. Perhaps these words contained the possibility of discovering a new facet of his life, one that could change both his personal perception of the world and the future of his business ambitions. When the connection was lost, Elon paused in thought. He remembered how as a child he dreamed of adventures, where each mystery opened new horizons. Now, as one of the most influential entrepreneurs of our time, he could not afford to ignore this signal of fate. He sighed quietly, pressed the answer button, and immediately began to analyze what was happening. Suddenly, an email from an unknown address appeared on his laptop screen. The subject line was simple but enticing: "What you lost will find you again." Elon opened the letter to find a photograph of a tattered leather notebook with his signature carved into it in a strange, almost calligraphic script. Next to the image was a handwritten note stating that the notebook had once belonged to a man whose life had been inextricably linked to Elon's. Every line of the image seemed steeped in history, and every wrinkle in the notebook seemed to be a reminder of years lost in oblivion. As he pondered how this could have happened, Elon made a decision that could change his life. He had to personally investigate the origin of this object and find out what secret was hidden behind the mysterious words. No warnings or fears could stop him. His thirst for knowledge and desire for discovery took over. At that moment, he remembered his old acquaintance with the story of a little-known scientist who devoted his entire life to the search for truth, and whose diaries once served as a source of inspiration to him. Perhaps these lines contained the key to the solution. Elon knew the road ahead would be fraught with uncertainty and danger. He knew that those around him in the high-tech business world rarely trusted subtle signs, but his personal experience told him that sometimes it was the most unexpected challenges that opened up new possibilities. Taking a few sips of cold coffee from a stylish ceramic mug, he decided to leave the city immediately and head to the location indicated in the letter, an old, abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Los Angeles, where, according to rumors, experiments were being conducted to preserve forgotten technologies. While the city outside the window was gradually sinking into sleep, Elon behaved like a true explorer. He carefully checked every detail, from the route to the equipment in his car, to be ready for any surprises. His mind quickly switched between the logic of high technology and the intuitive sense for which he was famous since school. His feelings were mixed, simultaneously growing excitement and a sense of impending danger. He knew that every second spent on the road brought him closer to solving a mystery that could turn out to be not only personal, but also global. Behind the wheel of a car equipped with the latest innovative systems, Elon did not feel alone. Images of long-forgotten memories flashed through his head, each of which could be connected to this strange event. The road seemed endless, and the night sky, a bottomless ocean of secrets. Each lamp flickering in the distance evoked associations with past dreams and unsolved mysteries. He understood that this call was not just an accident, but part of a much larger plan, which he did not yet know about. Driving through the deserted streets, Elon remembered how he had once been inspired by a story about an unknown hero who, without fear of risk, challenged fate. Now he stood on the threshold of a new mystery, where every detail could be decisive. There was silence inside the car, broken only by the sounds of the running engine and the barely perceptible rustle of the wind outside the window. At that moment, his thoughts were focused on one thing: to find the truth that could change not only his life, but the fate of millions. And although logic dictated that such stories were just a figment of the imagination, Elon's heart responded to the call of adventure. He remembered the words of his father, who always taught that real life begins where the usual framework ends and questions arise that cannot always be answered. This night promised him a chance to touch something unique, an unsolved mystery that could change his worldview forever. As they approached their destination, the car began to slow down, giving way to narrower, unlit streets. Suddenly, on the side of the road, the silhouette of an old building flashed by, barely visible in the gloom. It looked abandoned, but at the same time inviting, as if it held countless stories of the past. The building seemed familiar, like an echo of days long gone, when the world was filled with dreams and hopes, and every moment was worth its weight in gold. Elon stopped the car, his mind rapidly analyzing all the data collected in the last minutes. Every signal, every sound in the silence of the night made him want to know more. He knew that the next steps would require not only courage, but also the utmost concentration, because even the slightest mistake could cost him dearly. Turning on the flashlight and picking up the bag with the necessary devices, he got out of the car, ready to meet what fate had in store for him. A step away from the old building, a barely perceptible knock was heard, reminiscent of the rhythm of a long-forgotten melody. This sound seemed to ring in the very heart, awakening forgotten feelings and hopes. With each new step closer to the entrance, questions arose in Elon's head. Who could have left this mysterious sign? How are the events unfolding that night connected? And why was he the one drawn into this story full of secrets and uncertainty? Stopping at the massive doors of the building, Elon took a deep breath, gathering all his resolve. He knew there was no turning back. At that moment, his life seemed to freeze, and all his memories, all his dreams and ambitions merged into a single stream, ready to burst into his consciousness. This night promised to open a new page in his destiny, a page where truth and lies, success and failure intertwined in an inseparable dance. And it was here, among the shadows of the past and the reflections of the future, that he was supposed to find answers to the questions that had tormented him since childhood. The light of the flashlight, sliding across the peeling paint and old patterns on the doors, seemed like a symbol of hope, leading him into a labyrinth of unknown stories. Every sound, every shadow, and even the slight creak of the old door hinges told him that the truth was somewhere nearby, and it needed to be found. Elon took a step forward, firmly deciding that even if he had to face the darkest secrets, he would not retreat. After all, sometimes, in order to build the future, you need to dive into the depths of the past. Thus began his journey into a night full of mysteries and surprises, where every moment could become a turning point. And although Elon's heart was filled with uncertainty and fear of the unknown, his mind was determined. He had to find out where this mysterious call came from and what it was hiding. Here, on the border between reality and fiction, between the past and the future, a new chapter of his life began, filled not only with technological discoveries, but also with a deep human story that could change everything. As soon as Elon crossed the threshold of the ancient building, he felt as if he had entered another world, where time stood still and the space was filled with shadows of days long gone. Having barely closed the heavy wooden door behind him, he found himself in a spacious lobby, the walls of which were peeling with time, and the floor was covered with a layer of dust and small debris. The light creak of the floor under his steps reminded him of long-forgotten secrets, and the flickering light of the antique chandeliers created the illusion of the presence of many invisible eyes watching his every move. Elon froze for a moment, trying to adjust to the unfamiliar surroundings. Questions flashed through his mind. What is this place? Why was it created, and why did this mysterious signal lead him here? The answers did not come immediately, but his intuition told him that something important was hidden here, perhaps even connected to his own past, which he had never suspected. Without wasting a moment, he turned on his mobile flashlight to illuminate the immediate corners of the lobby. The dim light quickly revealed ancient wallpaper with faded patterns reminiscent of the luxury of a bygone era, as well as rows of old portraits whose faces seemed to be captured in a state of deep thought. Each portrait, whether it was an image of a mysterious woman in the Art Nouveau style or a portrait of a man in a strict business suit, seemed to be a silent witness to the events that took place here many decades ago. Elon's attention was drawn to a massive wooden table in the center of the lobby. On it lay a stack of yellowed letters, neatly folded and tied with a thin leather band. A light touch to the paper produced a subtle sound, like the whisper of voices telling their story. Elon carefully picked up one of the letters, studying the handwriting, which was at once stern and gentle. The handwritten text began with the salutation, "Dear Truth Seeker," and while the meaning of the letter was fragmentary, it alluded to events that must have happened here many years ago. Each line was a reminder that behind the facade of the abandoned building lay a world filled with hopes, dreams, and perhaps tragedies. Moving further, Elon noticed a narrow corridor that seemed to lead deeper into the building. His heart beat faster as he stepped into the dark passage, where the walls were covered with small symbols and mysterious inscriptions. These signs reminded him of ancient manuscripts, in which each letter could be a key to solving a great mystery. He could not shake the feeling that every word carved or drawn here had a deep meaning, capable of changing the course of events if interpreted correctly. The corridor soon led him into a huge room, which, despite its desolation, retained a certain atmosphere of coziness and warmth. Here, among old armchairs and dusty carpets, stood a massive wooden cabinet, which seemed to guard some ancient wisdom. Elon approached it and discovered that the doors of the cabinet were slightly open, as if inviting him to look inside. The dim light of the flashlight revealed the contents. These were stacks of diaries, letters, and other personal items, neatly folded and carefully preserved through the years. Each object here breathed the past, and Elon felt that he could learn not only the history of this place, but also his own history, connected to it in a mysterious way. His attention was drawn to one of the diaries, lying separately from the others. The cover of the diary was made of old, worn leather, on which, as it seemed to him, his own silhouette was engraved, although the style of engraving was different from modern technology. The diary was written in a small, neat handwriting that conveyed a deep emotional coloring of each word. Leafing through the pages, Elon came across entries that spoke of a search for lost knowledge, of dreams and hopes that did not fade despite all the trials of time. Each page, each line seemed to be imbued with the energy and vitality of the author, as if this person knew that his words would one day find their addressee. At that moment, a quiet but confident sound of footsteps was heard behind Elon. He immediately turned around, trying to determine the source of the sound. In the semi-darkness of the corridor, a silhouette of a man appeared, dressed in a dark cloak that seemed to have absorbed all the shades of the night. The stranger's face remained hidden in the shadows, but the voice he spoke was soft and filled with calm confidence. "You have finally arrived," the stranger said, taking a step forward. His voice, filled with knowledge and some ancient wisdom, made Elon wary, but at the same time inspired trust, as if he were a guide in this labyrinth of secrets. The stranger introduced himself as Alexander Lear, the former custodian of this refuge, a man who had dedicated his entire life to collecting and preserving forgotten stories and secrets left behind by previous generations. Alexander explained that the building they were in had been created in the late 19th century as a refuge for those who sought knowledge and truth, for people who had been blessed with both great talents and great tragedies. According to him, this place was not just an abandoned building, but a true temple of memory, where every record carried an important message for the future. Alexander told Island that many years ago, when the building was still full of life, people came here, seeking to preserve the wisdom of their ancestors and open new horizons for future generations. They collected notes, diaries, letters, and, in their opinion, each of these works was the key to understanding the great history of mankind. However, time, like a merciless destroyer, gradually absorbed even the most valuable treasures, and many of them were forgotten. That is why Alexander dedicated his life to restoring what was lost and passing it on to his descendants, believing that every word, every memory can be decisive in the future. Island listened to Alexander as if enchanted, immersing himself in every detail of the story. For him, this was not just a conversation, but an opportunity to look into the depths of the human soul, to feel the pulse of time, imprinted on the yellowed pages of diaries. He remembered how, as a child, he dreamed of great discoveries and adventures, and now, years later, his dream was reborn in the form of a mysterious journey, where every discovery could change his life. Together with Alexander, Elon began to explore the shelter's premises, moving from one room to another. They visited a small library, where the shelves were lined with manuscripts, each of which held invaluable knowledge about science, art, and human nature. Here, in the silence and peace, as if time itself had stood still, Elon felt his mind filling with new ideas, as if ancient texts were coming to life and whispering their secrets in his ear. One of the most intriguing rooms was a small laboratory where experiments had once been conducted to preserve the memory of outstanding personalities. Old devices, drawings, and manuscripts were scattered everywhere, indicating that discoveries had once taken place here that could revolutionize the understanding of science. Alexander showed Elon an ancient device with particular trepidation, reminiscent of a cross between a mechanical computer and an alchemical device. "This device was created by one of our first guardians," he said quietly. And, according to legend, it could capture the energy vibrations of past eras, allowing one to unite the mind and soul, to create a bridge between the past and the future. These words made Elon think that perhaps his own destiny was connected not only with technology, but also with a deep understanding of human history. Moving from one room to another, Elon increasingly realized that his journey was just beginning, and that every discovery, every detail found would be crucial to unraveling the great secret hidden in the shelter. Alexander shared with him a story about how a prophecy had once appeared in this building, written by the hand of one of the first guardians. It said that one evening, when the stars would shine especially brightly over the city, a man would appear who would be able to revive forgotten dreams and bring the light of knowledge to a world lost in the darkness of oblivion. These words sounded like a prophecy, and Elon felt that he could be the person to whom this prophecy referred. Soon they came to a narrow door decorated with ancient ornaments and symbols that seemed to guard the entrance to another hidden part of the shelter. Alexander opened the door with respect, and before them stood a spacious room, lit only by a soft, diffused light coming through the dusty windows. Here, among ancient furniture and dusty carpets, stood a large table on which documents, maps, and manuscripts were laid out. On the table lay a strange metal box decorated with mysterious symbols, which, according to Alexander, was the heart of this shelter. This box contains not only records and key moments in history, but also an unsolved secret that can change our understanding of the world, he said with reverent awe. Elon, realizing the significance of the find, studied the contents of the box for a long time. There were encrypted notes, each of which seemed to hint that the events of the past and future were closely intertwined. His mind tried to connect all the pieces of the puzzle, each of which promised to reveal the secrets of long-lost wisdom. He thought about how in his company, so often focused on innovation and cutting-edge technology, there is always an element of truth-seeking, an element that makes a person strive for something more than just business success. For several hours, Elon and Alexander conducted research together, discussing every detail of the documents they had found. Each new fact, each line of ancient writing revealed more and more mysteries to them, suggesting that the shelter was not just a place to store information, but a real temple of ideas, dreams, and hopes. The atmosphere was tense, but also inspiring, as if history itself was trying to convey its lessons and warnings to them. As the clock outside began to show the first signs of dawn, Elon felt a deep sense of satisfaction at being able to touch such a treasure of memory. He understood that many more trials and revelations lay ahead of him, and that each detail he found was a step toward understanding not only the great secret of the shelter, but also his very essence. Alexander, noticing the same trepidation and determination reflected in Elon's eyes, quietly said, "Today you have opened the doors not only of this place, but also the doors to a new future. And I believe that this is only the beginning of the great path that fate has sent you on." At that moment, a quiet but deep sound was heard in the room, as if the earth itself was responding to their words. Thin rays of morning sun were breaking through the ancient windows, painting the room in soft golden shades. Everything around was breathing life and hope, and every movement seemed to be filled with a harbinger of future changes. Elon, feeling how his heart was filling with new energy with every moment, was determined to continue his research, knowing that his path was leading to a solution that could change not only his life, but also the destinies of many people. He took a deep breath, realizing that this morning light symbolized not only the end of a nightmare, but also the beginning of a new era. An era where technology and human wisdom intertwine, where every discovery becomes a step toward a brighter future. Images of new discoveries, new friends, and new challenges to overcome filled his mind. As if seeing in Elon a spark of that rare genius who can unite the past and the future, Alexander placed his hand on his new companion's shoulder and quietly said, "The path you have chosen is not easy, but it will lead you to the truth that our world so thirsts for." Leaving the room with the metal box and ancient manuscripts, Elon went out into the corridor again, where a different atmosphere could now be felt, an atmosphere of hope and promise. Each step echoing in the ancient walls reminded him that the greatest discoveries begin small, with the first, decisive step. His thoughts rushed between the past and the future, and his mind was filled with new ideas and plans. He understood that on this path he would not only have to understand the mysterious records, but also join forces with those who were ready to believe in the power of knowledge and memory. And so the morning continued, filled with quiet conversations, long discussions, and plans for the future. Elon realized that his meeting with Alexander was not accidental, but fateful, and that together they could open doors to unexplored areas of human consciousness and history. Every corner of this ancient refuge held its own story, its own lesson, and Elon was ready to absorb everything that this world could give him, in order to then use the knowledge he gained to build a new, better future. As the sun's rays penetrated deeper into the building, illuminating every dusty shelf and every abandoned room, Elon felt his soul gaining long-awaited peace and confidence. Here, among the shadows of the past, he had found the germ of what could become the basis for a new project capable of uniting technology, education, and humanity. He already saw in his imagination a future where his efforts would become a catalyst for change, where every little thing, every detail found here would contribute to the common cause of enlightenment and development. With the sounds of the awakening city and the whispers of ancient pages, Elon Musk once again decided that his mission was not limited to business success or technological innovation. His true purpose was to inspire, to awaken in people the belief that even the smallest pieces of forgotten history can become the foundation for great changes. This is how he realized that his path in this strange refuge was not just a coincidence, but a sign of destiny that would lead him to new horizons and discoveries that could change the entire world. With determination in his heart and clarity in his mind, Elon walked out of his old shelter, leaving behind the secrets of the night and the ancient manuscripts. His eyes were fixed on a future filled with light, hope, and endless possibilities. And although the path ahead was still shrouded in a fog of uncertainty, he knew that every obstacle, every moment experienced would contribute to his growth and enrichment, both professionally and personally. Saying goodbye to the ancient shelter and its keeper Alexander, Elon Musk once again found himself on a street flooded with morning light, where the reality of the big city softly intertwined with the remains of a mysterious past. The long shadows cast by tall buildings and the cool wind caressing his face seemed not just elements of the bustle of the city, but living witnesses of the events that took place behind the closed doors of the old building. A whole abyss of thoughts swirled in Elon's head. What do the found diaries mean, the captured stories, the ancient symbols, and, most importantly, the mysterious metal box left in that secluded corner of the shelter? Not wanting to waste a minute, Elon decided to immediately return to his car and turn to his own technology to scan the newly acquired data. He sat down at the control panel and, using the latest achievements of artificial intelligence, began to analyze the manuscripts and digital records captured by the camera of his mobile device. Every fragment, every little thing turned out to be so significant that they seemed to be parts of a huge puzzle, composed of many parallel stories inherited from the past. This information awakened in him a desire to find out. Could this incident be not just a coincidence, but part of someone's long thought-out plan aimed at awakening forgotten ideas and reviving lost values? Elon carefully looked through each file. Each page of the diary came to life on the screen of his device, telling of days when dreams and reality intertwined in an inextricable dance. One of the entries, highlighted in a vague handwriting, indicated that one of the archives of a large university contained an ancient manuscript that could shed light on the origin of the mysterious symbols found in the shelter. According to this document, many years ago, a group of scientists and thinkers inspired by the ideas of the Enlightenment created a certain code of destiny, which recorded secret knowledge about how human ideas developed, and how innovative technologies can be connected to the spirit of the times. This thought deeply shook Elon, because his very life, filled with a constant striving for the future, could turn out to be inextricably linked with the history of the past, which he was now beginning to comprehend with amazing trepidation. As he drove, Elon recalled how, in his youth, he dreamed of creating new worlds where technology would serve for the benefit of humanity, where innovation would become not just a tool for commercial success, but a true means of enlightenment. These dreams seemed to be reflected in his current desire to uncover the secrets left behind by unnoticed centuries. His mind, filled with the desire for discovery, was set to search for hidden connections between ancient manuscripts, mysterious symbols, and modern technological achievements. He felt that every little thing, every detail found could become a beacon illuminating the path to the true essence of things, and also help to understand how history and the future can go hand in hand, creating a new round in the development of civilization. Suddenly, a message appeared on his device's screen, coming from one of Elon's trusted colleagues in the scientific community. The letter contained information about an archive that had been discovered near the campus of one of the leading American universities, containing unique records of projects implemented in the last century. These documents, according to experts, could shed light on the origin of those symbols that were now disturbing Elon's mind. The letter contained an invitation to collaborate, as well as a promise to provide access to a number of rare archives that were previously considered lost. The words in the letter were written with trepidation and hope that this data would help not only solve the mystery, but also change the approach to the use of technology in education and science. Elon, carefully studying the message he received, felt his heart beat faster. He understood that a path full of unknowns and dangers lay ahead of him, but the desire to understand the truth outweighed all fears. He had to hold a meeting with a team of leading specialists of his company to discuss the possibility of organizing an expedition to the archive and further actions to integrate the found ideas into new projects. This thought inspired him, because he always believed that technological advances should go hand in hand with humanism and the desire for enlightenment. Elon quickly organized a video conference that brought together a group of experts, scientists, and specialists in the field of technology history. During the discussion, the conference participants shared their assumptions, analyzed ancient records, and developed possible scenarios for the future. Each of those gathered was confident that the data they found could become a real breakthrough in understanding how the ideas of the past influence the present, and how innovative solutions can become the basis for a new era of development. The discussions were heated and full of enthusiasm, and Elon himself acted as an inspirer, motivating the team to make bold and unconventional decisions. During the discussion, it was decided that the next step would be a trip to the archive located in one of the old buildings of the university, where, according to rumors, rare documents related to the Code of Destiny were stored. Elon personally led this expedition, realizing that it was his presence that could give weight to all the data found and turn it into a real breakthrough. He carefully prepared for the upcoming trip, collecting all the necessary equipment, plans, and, of course, the diaries found in the shelter. Every detail was checked, every device was tested so that nothing would overshadow the moment of meeting with history. Arriving at the university archive, Elon immediately felt an atmosphere of deep respect for the past. High ceilings, massive wooden shelves, and dim light of antique lamps created the impression that here was stored not just a paper legacy, but the real soul of bygone eras. The archive staff greeted Elon with warm interest, understanding that before them was a unique collaboration between the world of technology and the legacy of human wisdom. Together with a group of experts, he began to study the documents, carefully sorting through old folders filled with notes, sketches, and, what attracted especially attention, drawings with mysterious symbols repeated on the pages of diaries found earlier. In one of the corners of the archive, hidden behind dusty volumes, Elon found an old book with a leather binding, decorated with patterns that reminded him of the symbols he had found. The pages of the book were yellowed, but each line was written in a neat handwriting, as if the author tried to preserve every grain of knowledge for future generations. The book contained information about projects aimed at synthesizing science and art, about people who sought to turn dreams into reality, despite all the difficulties and obstacles. The text, sometimes full of allegories and metaphors, spoke about how true strength lies in the unity of mind and soul, and every innovation is born from a deep understanding of oneself. Elon immersed himself in reading, forgetting for a while about everything around him. Every word, every phrase penetrated his consciousness like little sparks igniting the flame of a new idea. He realized that the book he had found could be the key to solving the riddle of the code of destiny, and that it was in its lines that the answers to the questions that had tormented him for many years were hidden. There was something mystical in this book, something that said that the past cannot be forgotten, and its lessons must live forever, becoming the basis for building a better future. As Elon delved deeper into the study of ancient texts, he began taking notes, recording every detail that could be useful for further analysis. He wrote down hypotheses, sketched symbols, and discussed possible interpretations of the fragments he had found with his colleagues. Each new stroke on the paper became a beacon pointing to the path he had to take. Time flew by, and Elon felt that every minute spent among the ancient manuscripts brought him closer to a solution that could revolutionize his understanding of science and culture. Among the many documents, he found a series of letters addressed to scientists and thinkers of the past, whose names had long since faded into the shadows of history. These letters told of bold experiments, of attempts to create a synthesis between science and spirituality, of the belief that a true understanding of the world is possible only when a person combines both logic and intuition. Each letter was filled with hope and determination, and the words seemed to come alive on the pages, telling of how the fate of the world depends on those who are not afraid to dream and strive for more. Inspired by what he read, Elon decided that it was necessary not only to preserve the knowledge he had found, but also to share it with the general public. He conceived of a grand project, the goal of which was to create a global platform that would unite modern technologies, educational initiatives, and ancient wisdom. This platform was to become a bridge between the past and the future, between generations passing on their knowledge and experience. In his vision, it was turning into something more than just a technological innovation. It was to become a driving force for change, inspiring people to new achievements and helping to reveal the potential of each individual. As Elon was finishing his notes, a staff member entered the archives, his face lit up with wonder and admiration. He brought with him an ancient scroll, wrapped in fine velvet, which, according to the staff member, belonged to the family of one of the founders of the university. This scroll contained the final touches of the Code of Destiny, encrypted messages that were hidden in signs and allegories that only a few initiates could understand. Elon trembled as he unrolled the scroll and began to study its contents, feeling his heart beat faster again with the anticipation of a great secret. Each line of the scroll, written in elegant script, pointed to the need to combine the knowledge of all eras in order to use the power of innovation to build a future free of error and fear. Elon realized that his own purpose was no longer limited to advancing technology, but was becoming a mission to preserve and transmit the wisdom accumulated by humanity over the centuries. This was the essence of the Destiny Code, the idea that true prosperity is possible only when the past serves as a guiding light for the future. The sun was rising above the horizon, illuminating the halls of the archive with a soft light, awakening life in every corner of this sanctuary of knowledge. Elon, closing the scroll, felt his soul fill with new energy and a desire to act. He understood that from now on his path would acquire not only personal significance, but also a global scale, capable of inspiring entire generations to search for truth, to bold experiments, and to create new bridges between science, art, and spirituality. At that moment, he made a final decision. His mission would be to combine the best minds of our time with the wisdom of the past to create a platform capable of transforming the world. This idea, born among ancient manuscripts and old scrolls, was to become the basis of a new approach to education and science, where technology serves not just economic success, but real enlightenment, inspiring people to great achievements. Having collected all the documents, diaries, letters, and scrolls that he had found, Elon and his team of specialists left the archive, feeling that a long and difficult path lay ahead of him, but a path that promised to change not only his life, but also the lives of millions of people. Every new detail, every fragment of truth that was found turned into a bright beacon that illuminated the path to the future, where ideas born in the depths of the past became the basis for a new world full of hope and accomplishments. The past few days of studying ancient manuscripts, scrolls, and archival records had left a deep mark on Elon's soul. Each new discovery increasingly indicated that his life was inextricably linked to mysteries that most people had never suspected. Against the backdrop of new knowledge and fresh hopes, a clear picture emerged. Some ancient force, hidden in the shadows of time, was waiting for the moment to once again exert its influence on the modern world. And now, when everything was coming together, Elon realized that his path was preparing another test for him, one that could change the course of his destiny forever. Returning to his headquarters, located in the heart of the tech metropolis of San Francisco, Elon immediately assembled a team of specialists. They included not only leading scientists and engineers, but also historians, experts in ancient civilizations, and even representatives of the cultural community who were able to interpret the symbols and metaphors of the past. The goal of the meeting was to combine disparate fragments of information accumulated over the past days to form a single concept that could shed light on the mysterious code of destiny and reveal the true purpose of the found manuscripts. In a boardroom where the walls were decorated with modern art objects symbolizing the fusion of science and art, Elon gave a speech full of determination and inspiration. He spoke about how the present time requires humanity to have the courage to face the unknown, to accept the challenges of the past and turn them into new opportunities for the future. His words resonated with the audience, who realized that ahead of them lay not only technological breakthroughs, but also profound personal discoveries that could change their outlook on life. At the meeting, it was decided to send an expedition to a small village located in one of the remote corners of the state, where, according to legend, the descendants of the ancient keepers of the Code of Destiny were still kept. These people lived in close contact with nature, passing on from generation to generation the knowledge recorded in their oral tradition and preserving ancient symbols in their crafts and architecture. The locals believed that their ancestral home, located at the foot of ancient mountains, was connected with great secrets and that it was in these lands that the past and the future merged into one. Elon was sure that here one could find the missing pieces of the mystery that had remained beyond the reach of science for so long. Arriving at the village, Elon immediately felt an atmosphere of ancient wisdom and quiet harmony. Narrow cobblestone streets, old houses with carved frames, and the warm welcome of the locals created the feeling that time here flows by its own laws. His team was met by the village elder, a woman with wise eyes that reflected centuries of history. She greeted Elon with awe and respect, as if she knew that his fate was closely intertwined with the fate of their community. The elder told about ancient legends associated with the Code of Destiny, mentioning that great minds once left signs here that could awaken in people a desire for change and renewal. In the elder's cozy home, decorated with folk patterns and ancient artifacts, Elon and his team spent several hours listening to stories about times when people lived in harmony with nature and had a deep understanding of the power of words and symbols. Each legend told, each story about how the wisdom of ancestors was passed down through generations, made Elon think about how modern technology is just one facet of the great mosaic of human experience. He realized that true knowledge is born at the intersection of different eras, when the past passes on its experience to the future, and the future, in turn, is filled with the power of traditions and established values. The next day, after several nights spent discussing and solving mysteries, one of the team members, Professor Marcus Ventura, suggested leading an expedition to an ancient temple located on the outskirts of the village. This temple, according to legend, was a meeting place of great sages, where in ancient times rites and rituals were held aimed at awakening inner strength and uniting man with the cosmos. Elon, convinced that it was in this temple that the missing piece of the puzzle was hidden, decided to lead a group of researchers. Upon arrival, the group discovered a temple immersed in the greenery of centuries-old trees and covered in moss, as if nature was trying to hide it from prying eyes. Majestic columns decorated with carvings and arches through which soft light penetrated created the atmosphere of an ancient sacred space. Every detail of the temple spoke of the high skill of ancient craftsmen and the fact that here, in this place, great minds gathered to seek answers to questions tormenting humanity. Inside the temple, there was an almost indescribable silence, broken only by the echo of his own footsteps. Elon felt his heart begin to beat faster, and his mind filled with the expectation of something great. He carefully studied the walls, on which symbols were carved, identical to those imprinted in the found diaries and scrolls. These signs seemed not just decorative elements, but keys to understanding the deep meaning hidden behind the words and metaphors of ancient texts. Professor Ventura, who accompanied Elon, explained that the symbols represent a complex system in which each line, each curve has its own meaning, and that perhaps it is here that the solution to the Code of Destiny lies. On the temple altar, covered in layers of dust and ancient ritual markings, the group discovered a strange artifact, a small metal pendant that emitted a faint but noticeable warmth. The pendant was decorated with carvings that resembled ancient patterns found earlier in the archives and contained engraved symbols close in shape to those used to denote time and space. Elon carefully took the pendant in his hands, as if feeling that it carried the power of centuries, capable of opening new horizons of understanding. His fingers touched the cold metal, and at that moment it seemed as if time slowed down, and an unusual atmosphere of expectation reigned around. The village elder who had accompanied the expedition came closer and began to tell the legend associated with the pendant in a quiet voice. According to legend, this artifact was created by one of the ancient keepers of knowledge, who dedicated his entire life to the search for truth and the unification of disparate elements of wisdom accumulated by mankind. The pendant was supposed to serve as a gateway to another world, where the boundaries between time and space were erased, and true knowledge became available only to those who had the courage and determination to pass the test of fate. The elder's story was filled with images of ancient rituals, mystical rites, and symbolic actions, and Elon felt his mind overflowing with new ideas and premonitions. After discussing the artifact, the team decided that the pendant needed to be studied using modern technology. Elon ordered it to be delivered to a lab where experts could analyze the materials, determine its origin, and possibly decipher the meaning of the engraved symbols. While the pendant was being sent for examination, Elon continued to delve into the study of ancient texts, returning again and again to those lines that hinted at the connection between technology and spirituality. Each discovery made him more and more convinced that the fate of the world depends on the ability to unite the past with the present, and the truth depends on a deep understanding of the history recorded not only in books, but also in the hearts of people. Back at headquarters, Elon held another meeting where the experts discussed the preliminary results of the pendant's analysis. The results were astonishing. The composition of the material indicated that the pendant was made using technologies lost centuries ago, and its structure resembled an alloy of ancient forging methods and modern nanomaterials. This discovery challenged the usual notions that antiquity and modernity cannot coexist in one object. On the contrary, the pendant became a symbol of the synthesis of knowledge, where the past passed on its experience to the future, and the future, in turn, relied on the wisdom of the ages. Inspired by the new data, Elon began to formulate a bold plan to create an international foundation that would unite leading scientists, historians, cultural experts, and representatives of spiritual traditions. This foundation would become a platform for knowledge exchange, combining the best practices from different eras to solve modern problems. The idea was to enable new generations to see the connection between ancient secrets and technological innovations, stimulating the development of not only the economy, but also human potential as a whole. Against the backdrop of this grand plan, Elon often recalled how a random set of circumstances led him to this mystery, how one unexpected call, one found scroll and artifact became the starting point for a new turn in his destiny. He understood that there were still many obstacles and unknown dangers ahead, but each obstacle only strengthened his determination to move forward. His eyes reflected the clarity of the mission, to unite science, art, and spirituality to create a world in which technology serves people, and knowledge is passed down from generation to generation. And so Elon Musk's journey continued, a journey where the boundaries between reality and legend were erased, and each new encounter, each discovery became a brick in the foundation of the future. The encounter with the shadows of the past brought not only new questions, but also answers that could transform the modern understanding of the world. And when the evening twilight fell again on the ancient village, and the light of lanterns began to softly flicker in the narrow streets, Elon felt that his mission was becoming more and more significant. His soul was filled with determination and faith that every secret, every ancient record and artifact could become the key to building a new world, where technology and spirituality go hand in hand, giving people true enlightenment and hope for a better future. The dawn light painted the horizon in golden and pink tones as Elon Musk, leaving the cozy office of his company's headquarters in San Francisco, plunged into deep contemplation of the discoveries that had shaken him in recent days. His mind rushed between scientific hypotheses and ancient legends collected during the research of the Destiny Code, and his soul searched for answers that could connect two seemingly opposite worlds, the world of high technology and the world of deep spiritual wisdom. In recent weeks, he had gone from a chance call that led him to an abandoned shelter to an expedition to an ancient village where the locals preserved the memory of long-lost knowledge. However, Despite all the successes, a premonition was growing in his heart that the real battle was only just beginning. The scientific discoveries and technological advances accumulated during this time inspired Elon with confidence that the pendant he had found and the deciphered scrolls were only a small part of a grand puzzle, where every detail was of great importance. But at the same time, he felt that his path could be strewn not only with secrets, but also with betrayals, both from within the company and among external allies. He had to figure out who was truly trying to use ancient knowledge for good, and who had other, no less dangerous goals in mind. That day, when Elon gathered his extended team to analyze the latest data, his attention was drawn to a strange signal coming from one of the satellite uplinks. Suddenly, an encrypted video message appeared on the screen, in which a voice, distorted by filters and noise, warned Elon of an impending threat. The voice said that someone from his inner circle had been playing a double game for a long time and intended to seize the ancient artifacts found in order to use them for their own selfish purposes. This message, filled with an alarming omen, shook Elon to the core. He understood that if the warning turned out to be true, then the fate of not only him, but the entire company, and perhaps the entire world, could be at risk. The first few hours after receiving the message were a real test for Elon. He immediately launched an internal investigation, interviewing members of his team, examining electronic logs, and checking employee travel patterns. Suspicion gripped even those closest to him, and a tense atmosphere of mistrust reigned in the office. Elon, known for his determination and ability to keep his cool in critical situations, knew that time was running out. He organized a closed meeting with trusted scientists, historians, and cybersecurity experts to try to decipher the message and determine who might be behind this conspiracy. At the meeting, which took place in a secret laboratory equipped with the latest technology, experts presented analytics indicating a possible data leak from the company's internal systems. The experts suggested that one of the high-ranking employees could have gained access to confidential information about the found artifacts and passed it on to unknown forces. The situation was complicated by the fact that the leak could have been organized not only by external competitors, but also by allies who managed to penetrate the trusted circle. It was then that Elon realized that his personal investigation should continue not only at the level of documents and archives, but also at the level of human relations. In search of the truth, Elon decided to leave the confines of his usual corporate environment and go to a city where events related to ancient artifacts had previously taken place. He decided to test on his own example how reliable his new allies were and which of them could be a potential traitor. Having immersed himself in the atmosphere of a crowded Los Angeles, he visited an old district where crafts once flourished, preserving the memory of ancient traditions. Here he met Lucy, a charismatic woman with piercing eyes, who claimed to be a descendant of an ancient line of keepers of knowledge. Lucy, possessing a deep understanding of the oral tradition of her people, told Elon that an ancient cult dedicated to the unification of knowledge was always under attack by those who sought to use the power of the past for their own interests. Her words seemed prophetic, and Elon felt that perhaps she could help him understand the current situation. Lucy took Elon to an old cafe located on an alley, where the walls were steeped in history and mystery. Here, over a cup of strong coffee, she shared her version of events, telling of an ancient prophecy that said, "When darkness envelopes the heart, the light of truth will reveal itself in the most unexpected places." Her story was filled with symbolism, metaphors, and subtle hints that the current confrontation could lead to the emergence of a new order based on the harmonious fusion of science and spirituality. Lucy claimed that ancient artifacts could not only reveal the past, but also predict the future if used correctly. Her words lit a flame of hope in Elon, but also raised new questions. What is the true purpose of the message, and who is trying to manipulate destinies to gain power over this knowledge? Back at headquarters, Elon called an impromptu conference with all the key people in his circle and reiterated the findings of his internal investigation. The discussions were heated, with each participant trying to find a logical explanation for the mysterious leaks, and some even theorizing about a global conspiracy involving ancient forces that had been hidden from the world for centuries. During the debate, Elon made an important observation. While much of the data pointed to a potential threat, true power lay in the ability to unite opposing forces, ancient wisdom, and modern technology, and the sincerity of those who sought to use this knowledge for good. Among those present at the meeting was Professor James Harmon, a renowned expert in cybersecurity and digital technology, who claimed that the data leak could have been the result of a sophisticated computer hack carried out by an international group. According to him, the goal of the attack was not only to steal information, but also to sow seeds of mistrust and disorganization within the company. Harmon emphasized that such an attack could be part of a global campaign to destabilize the high-tech market, with ancient artifacts serving as a cover for larger manipulations. Elon listened to every word, realizing that his path was increasingly intersecting with shadow forces that were willing to use any means to achieve their goals. He decided that further steps should be as secretive and thoughtful as possible. It was necessary not only to expose the traitor, but also to find a way to protect the ancient artifacts found so that their power would not be used for harm. To do this, Elon decided to create a closed working group, which would include not only his best employees, but also invited experts from the world of history, archaeology, and spiritual practices. Among them was Lucy, whose deep inner world and knowledge of ancient traditions could prove indispensable. In the following days, the task force worked in a high-security mode, moving between locations where valuable data was stored in the company's secure archives. Each new discovery, be it an ancient scroll, an artifact, or even digital information, acquired the significance of an important key to solving a mystery that could change the worldview of millions of people. Elon personally supervised every stage of the investigation, not missing the slightest detail, because he had to not only expose the traitor, but also prove to the whole world that true knowledge should serve the benefit of humanity. During one of these closed meetings, when tensions reached their peak, one of the young specialists, an engineer named Robert, discovered an encrypted message addressed to Elon personally in the archive files. The message contained a detailed description of a covert operation carried out by a group calling itself the Guardians of Oblivion. These people, according to the message, intended to steal the found artifacts and sell them on the black market for rare antiquities, receiving an astronomical sum for them. In addition, the document mentioned the names of several high-ranking employees of the company, which only increased Elon's suspicions. He realized that time was running out to investigate, and that in the coming days, the fate of the company and, perhaps, the entire tech sector would be at risk. Suddenly, in the midst of the discussion, when everyone present was trying to comprehend the scale of the discovered threat, the door of the conference room swung open and a man in a formal suit with a confident gait walked in. It was Mr. Christopher Blake, a longtime business partner of Elon, who was considered a reliable ally for many years. However, his sudden appearance and cold gaze, full of hidden intentions, raised a wave of doubts. Blake claimed that he had information that could shed light on the true motives of the Oblivion Guardians group, and offered his help in exposing the traitor. His words sounded convincing, but Elon could not shake the feeling that there was more to his smile than just a desire to help. After a tense meeting where all the questions were put on the table, Elon decided that further actions would be carried out under strict control and all new data would be carefully checked. At that moment, he felt that his fate, like the fate of the found artifacts, was hanging by a thread. Nevertheless, faith in the power of knowledge and the desire for truth inspired him to move forward, despite all the difficulties and betrayals. He understood that only by uniting the efforts of the best minds and sincere souls would it be possible to resist the darkness that threatened to destroy everything that had been built over the years. The next day, after long nights of analytical thinking and secret meetings, Elon assembled a task force to carry out the decisive stage of the operation. Together with Lucy, Professor Harmon, Robert, and a few trusted employees, he went to a specially equipped headquarters where data was collected from various sources, from satellite observations to archival records and ancient manuscripts. Every little thing, every piece of information found was carefully processed using advanced artificial intelligence algorithms. As a result of the analysis, it turned out that the group, Oblivion Guardians, was planning to organize a meeting in one of the closed rooms of the old city center, where, according to their calculations, it would be possible to exchange artifacts and valuable documents. Elon decided he needed to get ahead of the attackers and sneak into the place to neutralize the threat from within. It was a risky plan, but he had no other options. He and a small group of specialists headed to the building where the counter-event was supposed to take place. At this crucial moment, he realized that his personal mission, which began with a mysterious late-night phone call, had gone far beyond technological innovation. It had become a fight to preserve a legacy that could change not only the future of the company, but the entire world. Under cover of night, with the city shrouded in darkness, Elon and his group approached the building silently. The walls of the old administrative building, lit only by the flickering light of lanterns, seemed to be silent witnesses to many secrets. Inside, in the narrow corridors and dusty staircases, every sound echoed in the darkness. The group moved cautiously, carefully watching every movement. Suddenly, in one of the rooms, they discovered a hidden door leading to a spacious hall, where, apparently, the untrusted core of the Oblivion Guardians was supposed to gather. Several suspicious figures were already in the hall, discussing the details of the deal, and Elon, quietly approaching, was able to spot several names mentioned in the encrypted message. Elon's heart began to beat faster as he realized that he was at a turning point. In that decisive moment, he realized that only a united front could confront the threat, and that his mission required not only technological might, but also spiritual fortitude and a united will. Elon decided that the time had come to act. He quietly gave the signal to his team, and preparations began for a lightning-fast takeover of the chamber. And so, under the veiled noise of the night and in the shadow of the ancient walls, a struggle erupted in which every second mattered, and the fate of artifacts accumulated over centuries hung in the balance. The fight was tense and full of unexpected twists. As a result of a clever operation organized by Elon, the group was able to seize key documents and artifacts, as well as detain several participants in the conspiracy. Only at the last minute, one of the agents, previously believed to be loyal, tried to escape, but was caught and transferred to custody. This event confirmed Elon's suspicions that the conspiracy was much deeper than it seemed, and included even high-ranking employees of his company. Weighing all the consequences, he decided to immediately analyze the obtained data and establish the true chain of betrayal. After the successful operation, in the blinding light of dawn, Elon gathered the entire task force for a debrief. The results of the operational analysis flashed on the conference room screen, and the faces of the team reflected a mixture of relief and anxiety. Each new fact that confirmed the conspiracy only strengthened his resolve to create a defense system that could withstand similar threats in the future. Together with Lucy and Professor Harmon, he began developing new security protocols and strategies for combining technology with ancient knowledge to ensure that no future forces could use it for evil. Since that day, filled with dramatic events and pivotal decisions, Elon Musk has realized that his path is not just a series of random discoveries, but a real mission in which ancient heritage intertwines with modern innovations, creating a unique synergy. His vision of the future has become even clearer: to create a world where technology and spirituality do not contradict each other, but rather unite to build a new order based on honesty, enlightenment, and cooperation. He decided that the discovered artifacts and documents would become the foundation for a new platform that would unite scientists, historians, cyber specialists, and spiritual leaders from all over the world. Thus, after a decisive confrontation with the shadows of the past, Elon Musk realized that his mission required a relentless fight to preserve the truth. A fire lit in his eyes that could illuminate even the darkest corners of the world, and his determination inspired the team to further exploits. This battle became a turning point when old and new forces united to confront the threat of destruction and betrayal. With a new day of hope and opportunity looming, Elon Musk stood on the balcony of his office, watching the city wake up to the sounds of the morning. He knew there were still many challenges ahead, but he was now certain that only a united effort, a true faith in the power of knowledge, and an unbreakable determination could ensure a future in which ancient secrets would serve as the foundation for great change. And in this new, united impulse, he decided that every new encounter, every piece of information gained would be aimed at preserving not only the legacy of the past, but also giving hope to future generations. After the dramatic events of the past few days, when betrayal and intrigue had shaken the foundations of his company, Elon Musk was alone with his thoughts in the quiet of the early morning. The headquarters hall, once the scene of passion and heated debate, was now filled with deep contemplation. Each new piece of information, each little detail the team had uncovered, made him think about how true knowledge is not just about data, numbers, and technological advances, but something much more intimate, connected to the soul of a person, their history, and their legacy. Sitting at a large table covered with paper archives, electronic devices, and manuscripts of ancient sages, Elon tried to connect all the threads that had intertwined in his life recently. His gaze slid across screens where encrypted messages flashed, and across the pages of diaries whose lines seemed to convey the breath of bygone eras. In this complex mosaic of information, he tried to find that one thread that could unite his personal vision of the future with the ancient symbols left by his ancestors. In recent weeks, Elon had been confronted not only with external threats, but also with an internal crisis that was undermining his confidence. In the midst of high-tech, corporate intrigue, and global ambitions, he began to ask himself questions like, who am I really? What really matters in this rapidly changing world? And how do I maintain a balance between cold logic and the hot sincerity of the human heart? These questions haunted him, and he spent hours every evening in thought, trying to find answers that could serve as a foundation for his future actions. One such evening, when darkness fell on the city and only the flickering lights of skyscrapers cast long shadows on the streets, Elon decided to go to the roof of one of the buildings to be alone with himself. Here, under the stars, he allowed himself to relax, closing his eyes and listening to the sounds of the night. The wind rustling in the leaves seemed to him the voice of ancestors trying to convey ancient wisdom encrypted in symbols and manuscripts. At that moment, he realized that his mission was not only a fight against traitors and the protection of technological advances, but also a search for the deep meaning that connects generations of people dreaming of changing the world. In the stillness of the night, a new vision came to him. Before his eyes appeared an image of an ancient temple, where on the altar lay a shining crystal, symbolizing the light of truth. This image, bright and ephemeral at the same time, filled his heart with determination. He understood that behind the external conflicts and struggles for power there was a true purpose: the unification of mind and soul, technology and spirituality, past and future. Elon felt as if the universe itself was telling him that his path was the path of unification, where every little detail mattered, and where each person could contribute to the creation of a new world full of harmony and light. The next day, Elon called a meeting with key members of his team in a specially designed room, where the walls were covered with paintings that reflected the greatness of the human spirit. On the table in front of him were documents, scrolls, and digital files collected over the past weeks of intense work. He began by sharing his vision, sharing with those present the images that had visited him on the roof that night. His voice was firm and his eyes were penetrating as he spoke about how the true power of technology lies not only in numbers and algorithms, but in its ability to inspire, connect people, and open up new horizons for creativity and self-improvement. We stand at the threshold of a new era, Elon said, where our future depends on seeing beyond the obvious. We must combine our knowledge, technology, and ancient wisdom to create a system that can not only protect our achievements, but also awaken the desire for true enlightenment in every person. These words resonated with the audience. The experts, engineers, and scientists present at the meeting listened with awe, understanding that their common path was now determined not only by commercial interests, but also by a higher purpose: the search for truth. After the meeting, Elon's team began working on a new project that would combine the achievements of the modern world with ancient practices passed down from generation to generation. The name of the project was still a secret, but the idea was clear: to create an international platform where specialists from different fields, from nanotechnology to archaeology, from cybersecurity to meditation, could exchange experiences, ideas, and discoveries. This platform was supposed to become a bridge between science and spirituality, technology and tradition, helping people understand that true development lies in the harmonious combination of all aspects of the human experience. Elon personally led a working group responsible for integrating new data into the company's strategy. The group included leading engineers, renowned historians, and experts in cultural studies and philosophy. They all worked closely together, discussing every detail, analyzing ancient symbols, and developing new security protocols that could protect the found artifacts from any encroachment. Each new day brought new discoveries, and each sleepless night was devoted to studying ancient texts, manuscripts, and digital archives that seemed to contain all the wisdom of the ages. At the same time, Elon did not forget about the need for personal growth and inner balance. He began to devote more time to meditation, walks in nature, and even practices related to Eastern philosophy in order to learn to better understand his emotions and intuition. These activities helped him find a balance between cold calculation and passionate inspiration, between technological progress and spiritual quest. Meetings with Lucy and other mentors from the world of ancient traditions enriched his vision, allowing him to penetrate the depth of the knowledge that had been passed down through symbols, rituals, and ceremonies for centuries. One of the key moments was when one of the archive files discovered during previous operations suddenly activated during a test run of the new software. A mysterious symbol appeared on the screen, which no one had been able to decipher until that moment. This symbol, brightly glowing and pulsating, as if reflecting the rhythms of the universe, became a kind of beacon for Elon, which pointed to a new turn in his search. A team of specialists immediately began analyzing the data, trying to figure out the origin and meaning of this symbol. With each new iteration of the algorithms, with each experiment, the meaning of the symbol was revealed more and more deeply, reminiscent of an ancient language, where each sign was saturated with meaning and energy. During the research, it turned out that the symbol contained elements that echoed the records found in ancient scrolls and diaries, as well as data on the structure of the pendant found. These findings prompted Elon to think that the symbol was a key that could unite all the fragments of the riddle of the Code of Destiny and open access to deeper information hidden in the depths of history. He decided that it was necessary to conduct a series of experiments aimed at decoding this symbol and organized round-the-clock laboratory work with the involvement of the best specialists from different fields. The results of the experiments promised not only to shed light on the origin of the found artifacts, but also to open up new opportunities for the application of ancient knowledge and modern technologies. This scientific mission turned out to be closely connected with Elon's personal experiences. Every time he saw another discovery, his heart filled with pride that his life had acquired a new meaning, the meaning of uniting the mind and soul, technology and spirituality. He understood that, despite all the difficulties and dangers, his path leads to the creation of a new world in which ancient traditions and modern innovations work in unison for the benefit of all humanity. However, in parallel with the scientific discoveries, the pressure from outside continued to mount. Voices of doubt began to emerge in business circles and even among those who had previously supported his ideas. Some critics claimed that Elon had lost focus, diverting his attention from the company's core mission to search for mystical symbols and ancient rituals. These accusations were reinforced by rumors of possible betrayal and leaks that threatened the company's reputation and Elon's personal safety. But despite the external pressure, he remained steadfast, confident that true knowledge could overcome any obstacle. To protect the project and strengthen the trust of his allies, Elon decided to hold a public speech for investors and partners, where he spoke in detail about the goals and significance of the new initiative. His words sounded like a manifesto for a new time. We are standing on the threshold of an era when each of us is able to connect the past with the future. Our technologies are not just tools, they are a bridge through which the energy of the wisdom of our ancestors passes, leading us to a brighter future. The speech caused a storm of discussion, but most of those present felt in it the very sincerity and strength that has always distinguished Elon from his competitors. Over the next few weeks, the team continued to integrate the data, conducting new studies, discussing hypotheses, and adjusting strategic plans. Each day brought new questions that needed answers and new discoveries that could overturn the usual understanding of what was possible. Elon was actively involved in all stages of the work, not only as a leader, but also as an inspirer who, through his own example, showed that science and spirituality can coexist and even complement each other. Within the company, a balance was gradually established. The tension caused by intrigues and leaks was replaced by mutual understanding and a joint striving for a single goal. Team members began to realize that the true greatness of the project lay in its ability to combine the most diverse fields of knowledge and create something unique. This synthesis of ancient traditions with modern technologies promised to change not only the corporate culture, but also the approach to education, science, and even the personal development of each person. On the personal front, Elon found solace in Lucy, whose wisdom and spiritual sensitivity became his guiding light in a world where the boundaries between science and mysticism were blurring. Together, they had long conversations discussing philosophy, history, and the future, and these conversations opened up new dimensions of understanding for Elon about his path. Lucy reminded him that even in the darkest hour, there is always a ray of hope if a person is able to listen to the voice of his soul. Thus, plunging into the labyrinths of science and the inner world, Elon Musk continued his journey, finding answers to questions that seemed eternal to him. He knew that new challenges, unexpected encounters, and perhaps even deeper revelations awaited him ahead. But now he felt within himself the power that was capable of not only overcoming obstacles, but also transforming this world, uniting technology and spirituality into a single whole. The light of a new day was streaming through the windows of his office, illuminating the desks filled with documents and reflecting in the eyes of his team members, full of determination and faith in a better future. For Elon, this was not just a new stage in the development of the company, it was a path to understanding his own life, to searching for the truth embedded in every ancient symbol and every modern innovation. And despite all the challenges, he was ready to move on, continuing to create a future in which the wisdom of the ancestors will become a guiding star for the new generation. Several weeks had passed since the decisive events when Elon Musk and his team managed to neutralize the threat posed by the Oblivion Guardians. Their hearts and minds were still seething with emotions from the ordeal, and each new discovery only emphasized the scale of the hidden secrets laid down over the centuries. During this period, Elon found himself at a crossroads. His personal vision of the future, based on the synthesis of modern technology and ancient wisdom, was faced with the need to make a final choice between fighting the shadows of the past and creating a new reality where both logic and spiritual strength would coexist harmoniously. And so, early in the morning, when the city of San Francisco was just beginning to wake up to the first rays of the sun, Elon found himself back in his office, surrounded by documents, manuscripts, and digital files collected over the past months of intense work. His gaze was directed at a large monitor, where information on the progress of experiments with a mysterious symbol found in ancient scrolls and on an artifact was updated in real time. Each new discovery seemed like another thread in a huge tangle of secrets, and with each passing day the image of the future became clearer, although not without new questions. That day, Elon gathered his core group in a spacious conference room, where modern minimalism was combined with retro elements reminiscent of the past. The atmosphere in the room was tense, but filled with the expectation of a great awakening. On the wall, a projector broadcast the results of the latest lab tests, where scientists managed to decipher several fragments of the mysterious symbol. These data confirmed the hypothesis that the ancient sign contained a code that could activate certain algorithms that unite the material and spiritual worlds. For Elon, this was not just a scientific discovery, but a call to action that was supposed to change the approach to innovation and to understanding human potential. "We are at the dawn of a new era," Elon began, his voice firm and poignant at the same time. "Our job is not just to protect what we have discovered, but to use that knowledge to change the future. We must combine our technology with the wisdom of centuries to create a platform that will inspire a new generation of thinkers, engineers, and spiritual leaders." His words echoed around the room, leaving the audience with a mixture of excitement and a sense of the magnitude of the task. The talk was followed by a lively exchange of ideas. The team discussed how the ancient algorithms embedded in the symbol could be integrated into modern AI systems. One of the leading engineers suggested using deep learning methods to analyze historical data to perhaps identify patterns lost over the centuries. Another specialist, known for his passion for cultural studies, reminded us that such technologies have always been inextricably linked to human emotions and intuition, and that without a proper understanding of the spiritual component, any achievements will remain just cold numbers. Elon listened to his colleagues, occasionally interrupting them with comments and questions. He understood that their success depended not only on technical mastery, but also on their ability to delve into the essence of ancient traditions, where every detail could be crucial. For him, this moment was the culmination of an inner search, when he first realized that the past could not only be studied, but also its energy could be absorbed to build a better future. His own experiences of betrayal, doubt, and internal crises took on new meaning. They became fuel for transformation and a source of strength that could unite the disparate elements of the world. Soon after the conference, Elon decided to set out on a personal journey to meet with those who could help him finally understand the data he had received. His journey took him to a small town in the heart of California, where, according to legend, the traditions of ancient sages and practices capable of passing on knowledge through generations were still preserved. The town, with its narrow streets, old buildings, and an atmosphere of inexorable history, seemed to be waiting for its moment to open its soul to Elon. Here he was met by Marina, a middle-aged woman with clear, penetrating eyes, who was a recognized keeper of local traditions. Her look and calm voice instantly instilled confidence in Elon, as if nature itself was whispering that true knowledge is born from unity with the roots, with what has passed through the centuries. In a cozy living room decorated with vintage photographs and carved wooden elements, Marina told Elon a story that had been passed down in their family for generations. She told him about an ancient order that once sought to combine the knowledge of different eras, uniting them into a single body of wisdom. The order believed that true enlightenment comes only when a person is able to see beyond the mundane and penetrate the essence of existence. Marina explained that many of the symbols Elon had found were part of the rituals of this order, and that only a sincere heart can correctly interpret their message. Listening to her, Elon felt not only a scientific interest growing in him, but also a deep spiritual connection with these ancient traditions. He asked questions, sincerely striving to understand how this knowledge could be applied to modernize the modern world without destroying its human soul. Marina shared with him secrets passed down in secret and told him how the order had managed to maintain a balance between spirituality and science over the centuries. Her words sounded like a spell, opening up new horizons for Elon and making him realize that his path was not just the path of an entrepreneur, but a mission capable of changing the lives of millions. Back in San Francisco, Elon decided that he needed to consolidate the achievements of the last period and turn them into a concrete project that would become a symbol of a new era. He convened a meeting with leading experts, investors, and cultural figures. At this meeting, he presented the concept of an international platform that would combine the achievements of modern science with ancient wisdom. The project involved creating not only a digital ecosystem, but also a series of cultural and educational initiatives aimed at deep understanding of history, tradition, and innovation. Our project is a bridge between worlds, between the past and the future, Elon said at the gala event. We are not only creating new technologies, we are creating a platform for knowledge exchange, where everyone can contribute to the common cause. This is our answer to those who believe that true prosperity is possible only when the mind and soul act in unison. His words caused a storm of applause and enthusiastic responses, and the atmosphere of the meeting was filled with optimism and faith in a bright future. The time has passed for active preparation and implementation of the project. Elon's team worked tirelessly, integrating the results of the latest research with modern solutions in the field of artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and cultural initiatives. The new platform was named Echo of Eternity, a symbol emphasizing the idea that the wisdom of the ancestors will live forever if it is correctly transmitted and developed. Within the framework of the platform, educational programs, international conferences, and research laboratories were launched, uniting scientists, historians, technologists, and spiritual leaders from all over the world. For Elon, this moment was the culmination of many years of work and struggle, confirmation that true knowledge can overcome all barriers. He saw how the Echo of Eternity project unites people of different cultures, nationalities, and views, and how a new form of cooperation is born through it, where technologies do not destroy, but create, where ancient traditions are reflected in modern achievements, and the future is filled with hope and meaning. At the end of this chapter, Elon Musk stood on the roof of a San Francisco skyscraper, watching the city glow in the evening. His soul was filled with confidence that a new era lay ahead of him, an era in which every person, every scientist, and every innovation would be part of a single stream of knowledge that would unite centuries and cultures. He felt that his mission had reached its logical conclusion, but at the same time, a door had opened to infinite possibilities, where the fusion of science and spirituality would become the foundation for a new world where the light of truth would never go out.